I think we probably ought to report.
Okay.
Young man come in to report it to us, and we went and checked on it, and I also seen it. And he's here, and I saw it myself, so there's two of us that seen it. What it was is a red light with kind of a bluish green light, and this thing chased him from east of Fairview, out about 23 miles east of Fairview, all the way back into Fairview, at a speed of in excess of about 120 miles an hour.
Uh-huh. Could we get his name?
His name is Rick Harrelson.
Rick?
Harrelson. Harralfon. Rick.
Okay. And his address?
Sydney, Montana.
And the object chased him?
Yes, it chased him. It was at an elevation, he figured, above the ground at about 50 feet. I do too. And it got anywhere from a half mile to a little closer.
Okay.
I chased him all the way.
Could we get your name, too?
Pete Kuinnell. Kuinnell. And I'm a senior patrolman with the Fairview Police Department.
Okay.
Fairview, Montana.
And this occurred this morning?
Yep, at approximately 2:45.
Okay.
He reported it to me at 5 minutes to 3, and I observed it myself at 3 o'clock.
All right, sir. Could we get back to you later for an interview?
Well, I suppose so.
Great. And we thank you very, very much for calling.
Where are you located at?
Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, Washington.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye. We would like to get a description of what you saw last night, if possible, beginning with the events that led up to this and then your actual sighting.
Beginning with the events that led up to it and the actual sighting.
Yes.
Well, like I said, I was on duty last night, and I was just doing routine patrol, and this car come into town, this one that contained this Harrelson kid, and he stopped, and he come over to me, and he says, "You ain't gonna believe this," which, you know, I didn't know whether to or not. So we went out and looked, and that's when it did. But he said the reason I wasn't going to believe him was this object that chased him back from about 23 miles east of town here, Fairview.
Yes.
To Fairview, at a speed of in excess of 120 miles an hour. And so that's what led me to go out there with him. He was with me when we went out.
Uh-huh.
And we seen the thing. And it was just kind of a bright blue-greenish light with a kind of a fluorescent orange or real, not a bright red, but a kind of a combination between red and orange colored flashing right on top.
Which section of the sky was this in?
Well, I've been from where we were, it was straight east of town.
Uh-huh.
And it followed him all the way from the junction at US Highway 85 and number 200 in North Dakota, all the way to Fairview.
Now, as you were watching the object, did it remain stationary?
It remained stationary for a while, and then it had moved sideways and up a little bit, not very much, probably 50 feet, and back down sideways over to the side.
How far away would you say that was, just an estimate?
Mile.
Okay.
It came in closer than that, though, at times.
Were you able to detect any sound?
No sound.
How was the weather conditions there this morning?
Last night they were extremely clear with
watch that object?
Well, we watched it for half hour, 20 minutes at least.
And did it move away while you were still
there?
there?
Finally moved out of sight.
I see.
It was gone.
Just that quick?
Yeah.
Which direction?
Huh?
Which direction did it go?
Kind of east and straight up.
Straight up. Okay.
So you just couldn't see it anymore. It was a clear night. You could see it for a long way.
Now, all you could see then was light itself. You couldn't make out any hulk?
No, I would say the aerial light was about as big as, a Cadillac car. It was a bigger model Cadillac. It was a fairly large-sized deal.
Did it have any defined shape to it?
Kind of just a round light.
Straight and round. Okay.
It was flashing light, and then it was just kind of a bluish green light. Bright. Real bright light. And then you could see this bright orange light. Bright orange red light on top flashing.
I see.
But now when he first seen it, it was hovering about 50 feet above the ground up there. Oh, the junction 85 and 200, about half mile east of that junction, moving above a hill about 50 feet above the ground when he first seen it. That's what he carried in. He turned around and come back.
I see.
And when he turned around to come back, it followed at an altitude of about 50 feet, from anywhere from 100 yards to a half mile behind him all the way.
Okay, now, you were in your patrol car when you were observing this?
Yes, I was.
Did you get any kind of radio interference?
No, we didn't. I talked with several stations to see if they could confirm seeing it. They couldn't see it from where they were.
Uh-huh.
Of course, it was 11 miles away.
I see.
The nearest.
And you didn't receive any additional calls at the department that night?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
It was up 3 o'clock in the morning.
Uh-huh. Okay, and there was no sound. And did the object at any time make any, other than the up and down motion, any other movements?
Well, side to side.
Side to side. Okay. Now, did that light, the glow, not the light on top, but the glow, the round glow, did it change brightness at any time?
Well, like I say, I don't know whether it was revolving or just like whether it was like one of these strobe lights that just flashed. But it blinked on and off. Kind of
just continuously?
Continuously on and off.
Uh-huh. Okay. And then the both of you just drove back to town?
Yes, I drove back. We drove back into town. I continued to watch it. He went on home.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I think he left town for work. But I don't know if you get a hold of him.
How do you felt that you watched this for how long? 20 minutes, okay. That's good.
Half hour.
Okay,
Good.
good.
It started following him about 10 months before he told me. You don't green light in this.
Uh-huh.
Went out moving. He notified me at about 5 minutes to 3.
Did this scare
I
him?
looked at it about 3. Huh?
Did it scare him pretty bad?
Yes, it did. Extremely shook up.
Uh-huh. Well, sir, we sure want to thank you for giving us a call this morning on this particular incident. And if we get any additional information on this, why, we'll get back to you and let you know.
Well, I don't know what it was, but sure was weird.
Is this the first time you've ever seen one of these UFOs? What was your opinion of them prior to this?
I thought it was a bunch of bullshit.
Uh-huh.
And by reputable people that I knew, sheriff's deputies, I was the
Well, we thank you again for giving us a call, and I hope that if anything else happens in your area, you'll notify us.
You give many reports like this tonight?
Oh, yes.
Or was that the only one?
No.
Did they come in more from Montana?
We were up all night last night getting reports from all over the Northwest United States.
All similar to ours, or different?
There were 2 close approaches, and then the others were fairly high altitude objects.
There was some similar to the one that happened here.
No, not that close.
Well, that's bad. You know, I had a camera in the car, but I never gave it a thought to even try and take pictures of it until afterwards. Probably should have tried. Show that. We had this Polaroid camera.
Uh-huh.
But I'll guarantee you if I ever see one again, that's what I'm going to try and do.
Well, if you ever do, be sure to let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye.
Trying to get hold of me?
Yes, sir, we have. We're very interested in getting a rundown on your experience early this morning.
Yeah, that was something else.
Okay, now, why don't you start right from the beginning, whatever led up to this, and then give us a full description of what happened.
Okay, well, I work in Raleigh, North Dakota. I was over here visiting my fiancée, and about, 2 o'clock last night I left. And I was driving back so I could be back to work this morning. And I was driving along, and I was going out towards this, you go through this town called Fairview, and then you go east up to this corner. And then there's this corner where you meet another highway that goes north-south.
Mm-hmm.
And I travel that road all the time. And, you know, I'm pretty familiar with everything that's going on around there. And I could see this light up there. It was kind of a orangish red light, and it wasn't really flashing. It was kind of vibrating, blinking like.
Yes.
And at first I just thought it was, you know, a car tail light. But when I got up closer up to it, I could see that it was just one light. And for some reason I didn't want to go up there because, you know, I heard that they had some sightings over in the eastern part of North Dakota yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
where was this at? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But so I stopped. There was a dip in the road, and I stopped down at the bottom of that, and I pulled off into approach, and I looked up there, and it was above the highway. There's a hill above the highway, and it looked like it could have probably been setting up on that hill, just above the north-south highway there.
That's 85?
Right.
Okay.
And so I turned around because I know a gravel road. I didn't want to go through it. So I knew a gravel road that I could go around that thing on. And, but when I turned back, I decided, well, I'll stop at one of these farmhouses here, you know, and see if, you know, if somebody couldn't see what it is with me, you know.
Yes.
But I pulled in this farmhouse, and it didn't look like anybody was around. So I started pulling out of the farmhouse to go back on the highway, and I looked up, and it was coming towards me. And so I turned to the west and got up to about 60 miles an hour, and I saw a green light come on. And then it scared me, so I just put it to the floor. And my car's speedometer reads 100 miles an hour, and I had it down way past that. And I could see the thing in my rearview mirror inside of the car. It was behind me, but you know, and it had both lights on. And then the greenish blue light on it got really bright, and it rolls up, and I couldn't see it in that mirror anymore, but I could see it on the mirror from the outside.
Okay, now are you still on Highway 85 when all this is going on?
Let's see. I'm on that I don't know exactly which highway, what number it is. It's east-west highway.
Okay, that's 200. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm on that highway, and I'm going back towards Fairview.
Right.
And when that, and it stayed back there almost all the way. There was one point, just as there was a town called Cartwright, and I came over this hill, and I lost sight of it for a second there. And there was a car coming off of a side road, and it turned and went east, and I lost sight of it until I lost sight of that car, and then it was there behind me again. And it was flying. It was about anywhere from 50, you know, at times it was about 50 feet above the ground, at times it was maybe 400 feet above the ground. And when it was up there high, I could see it in the outside rearview mirror. And it got, the closest it got to me, I would say, was a little under half a mile, and I was just before Fairview there. And I turned into Fairview, and you come across, and you turn, to come into Fairview from the highway, you have to turn south. And when I turned south into Fairview, it went south. To the north, and it went to the north, and when we went back to the east, it went to the east. And we sat up on a hill and watched it, and it just sat there. And when we went back into town, it came back into town, towards town.
Okay, now I'm going to go back a little bit to Highway 85 before you turn on the 200. Now, when you first picked this thing up and it started approaching you, did it approach from the rear, or was it coming in from your right or your left?
Okay, now, I never got onto Highway 85. I never got on.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I was going east on 200, and
right.
I stopped before the junction there.
I see. Okay.
Okay, I was about maybe a half a mile from that junction when I stopped. And I sat there and I looked at it, and I turned my radio off and everything because I thought maybe it was a helicopter sitting up there.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't hear anything. And so I knew it wasn't a helicopter, and that's the only thing that I knew that could, sit there like that. And so I turned around, and I went back, and I decided, well, I'll pull into this farmhouse,
Right.
And there was no one there. So when I was coming out of the farmhouse was on the north side of the road.
Okay.
And I was coming back onto Highway 200, and I looked off to my left there, and there it was. It was coming right before me. And so I turned to the right there, coming back west. And when I started picking up speed, that's when that green light came on. And, from then on, it was right there with me.
Now, what part of the object was this green light located on?
It was kind of on the underneath of it.
Underside. Okay. Now, how about the color of the top side?
I couldn't see that there was that reddish orange light, but it didn't look for sure if it was on the top. It looked kind of like it was at an angle,
Okay. And at all times you were watching this out of your rear view mirror?
Right, I could see it, except for that one spot when I met that car. I couldn't see it. I didn't see it then.
And it was low enough then so that you had no problem seeing it through your mirror in the window.
Right.
Okay. And did it when it was pacing you, following you, did it stay with the highway or go to the left or right at any time?
The only time I think that it got off the highway was when the highway curved around Cartwright there. Because I couldn't see it, but I don't know if it was up higher than I could see, or I think it was to the right of me, because the highway goes to, when you're coming west, the highway goes to the left.
I see.
And it comes back to the right. And when I came back to the right, there it was, behind me again.
I see, okay. How about the altitude off of the roadway? Could you estimate that?
How high it was above the road?
Right.
Oh, it was like at times it was, say, 50 feet above the ground.
I see, that's pretty close.
It was. I knew it was in a helicopter, because the only helicopter that I have ever heard of is those Cobras that can do about 120 miles an hour.
Okay, then this object was all light. You couldn't see any openings or appendages or anything?
No, I couldn't. But that bluish-green light, when it lit up, it looked like it was probably about the size of an airplane.
I see. And then it maintained pretty much the same altitude at all times, but it did get closer.
Right. Well, it varied from, say, like 50 to 400 feet. But it was usually right around 50 feet.
Okay, now when it went up to about this 400-foot altitude...
that's when I got around the hills.
But in other words, how were you watching at that time? Out the window or still in the mirror?
I could watch it in the mirror. I have a mirror on my left-hand side.
Oh, I see. You have the outside mirrors. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I could, when it rolls up, I couldn't see it from the inside mirror, but I looked out on the outside mirror, and I could see it in that.
Okay. Now, how close would you say the closest approach to you was? I know this is kind of difficult.
In between a quarter of a mile and a half a mile.
Quarter and a half mile. Okay.
I work with measurements, I seismograph, and we work with, measurements like that, and I could judge pretty close about how close it was.
Okay, now just before you got into the town, did the object just pull off and stop somewhere?
Well, no. Yeah, after I stopped, it stopped.
I see, okay.
I stopped to talk to that police.
To the officer.
Right, and
okay.
It stopped.
And it just plain stopped.
Right, and it hovered over there.
Oh.
And I didn't know for sure, really for sure, if that was really it when I was talking to him. But when we moved back out, I kept an eye on it because I thought that was it. And when we started going out, I saw it going with us, and then I showed it to him.
Uh-huh.
And he looked over and saw it.
And then eventually this thing just shot away.
Yeah, it went way up in the sky.
Uh-huh, okay.
And I came over here and I showed it to my mother. I drove over here to Sydney, 11, 12 miles. She wanted to see, she said she would like to have seen it, so I just opened up the window and showed it to her. It was still out there.
It was still at fairly high altitude then?
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
It just looked like a bright star.
Uh-huh. How long would you say that this whole episode lasted?
From the time I saw it?
Yes.
Well, I saw it at about... Well, it was 3 o'clock when I got into Fairview. And I was doing 120 miles an hour, and that's 20 miles. And I slowed down one time to about 85 miles an hour. So I probably saw it at about 10 till, or maybe, So I saw it for about two and a half hours.
Okay. Then you first spotted it about 10 to what?
10 to 3.
10 to 3, okay.
And I quit looking at it about 5:30. I did.
During the entire observation, did this object maintain that green light on the bottom?
No, it never. When me and that patrolman went out to look at it, it was sitting over there, and all you could see was the red light.
I see.
And when it was way up there, it looked just like a white light.
Uh-huh.
We got this guy's 30-06 out with the scope on it to look at it, and all you could see was a white light on its end.
I see. Okay. Okay, I think that's just about... is there anything that you could add to that?
Was it? I don't know.
Well, what was your opinion of UFOs before this happened?
I had always wanted to really see one, but I didn't want one like that, And I believe in them, I believe that, that made a believer out of me.
Okay. While this object was pursuing you, was your car radio playing?
No, it wasn't. I had a tape player on.
Yeah, was there any interference on that?
No, there wasn't.
How about your engine or your headlights? Were there any interference in either one of those?
No.
No electrical trouble at all?
No.
Okay. Now, how about the traffic on the highway, Rick? Was there...
there wasn't anybody.
Is this unusual for that highway?
No, it isn't. Not at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I see. Okay. Did you see anybody in the area after?
No.
Okay.
There was that car that I met, when I was coming, and they were going the other way, when me and that patrolman were sitting there watching that thing, it looked, I'm sure, I told that patrolman I was sure that was that car that was going west, and it came back east.
And that was on Highway 200?
Right.
Right, okay. Now, while you were going through this experience, did you have any strange physical or mental feelings at all? Other than being scared?
Well, no. I just thought, wow, why me,
Uh-huh.
I was wondering, what it was, what they were, what they were wanting.
Yes. Well, Rick, we really appreciate your calling and giving us all of this information. If we send you a questionnaire, would you take the time to fill it in?
You bet I will.
Because we feel that this experience that you've had is of great scientific value, and we need all the data we can get on it.
Yeah, I sure will. This is something that I'm kind of interested in myself.
Fine. Okay, well, we'll send you a little literature on the subject. You might find that interesting.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good.
And thanks again for talking to us.
You bet, thank you.
Bye.